Hi, it's Chris at the Quilter's Nook, and we are ready for another new tool in our Studio 180 Design Technique series. And we're gonna start with, this time, the wing clipper. This is a wonderful tool that will help you do your flying geese, and you will have wonderful results, and your points will be in the corner where they belong, and you will never lose the nose of your goose ever again. I promise. All right, so let's get started with this. So this tool, first of all, you can download instructions from Deb's website at studio180design.net, and you can download all the instructions in 8.5 by 11. And that's what I have done here. So you can see that. And I wanted to show you the chart that's in with the instructions. So this is your finished size units, the cut size, or what you will trim them to, the size of your large square, and the size of your small squares. And I'm going to do a 2x4 flying goose, which is a typical traditional size unit. So we're going to start off with 4 squares, 4 small squares, and 1 large square. Now in the instructions, it will tell you, for example, to cut this large square at 5.5 and cut your small squares at 3. You can do that, and I encourage you to try this. She wants you to nudge these away from the edge just a thread. Okay, so nudging away from the edge just a thread, and that's fine. And a lot of people have wonderful success with that. That's the traditional way to do this. We're going to tweak it just a hair to make it a little bit easier, I think. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So like I said, the directions call for a 5.5-inch large square, 3-inch small squares. We're taking this 3-inch and we're going to bump it 1/8 of an inch. We're going to take this to 3 1/8. So we're going to take our magic wand, and on the back of our squares, we are going to draw our sewing lines. So we're going to put the diagonal again, corner to corner, and we are going to draw on both sides of this magic wand. Okay, and we're going to do that for all 4 of our squares. I think that's the front, there's the back. And these are going to become our sewing lines. So now, instead of nudging them in just a little bit, we're going to be able to put them right on the edge, which I think is a lot easier. And you see how your lines line up? That's what you want. And we're going to pin these guys in place. And just like that. And then you're going to go to your sewing machine and you're going to sew right on those lines. When you're done, you're going to have this, and we're going to cut him in half in between our sewn lines. So we're going to cut corner to corner, right in between those sewing lines. Now we're going to press. And when you press, if you press this way, the unit's going to tend to bow a little bit. This is all bias. So if you press up on those little wings, you're not going to be disturbing your bias. Okay? And then we're going to go, and we're going to do that on both pieces. And then we're going to take our last 2 squares. And of course I would press this if I had the iron here. And we're going to put that last square right on the edges. And you can see the pencil marks are gonna go right into the valleys right there. And that's what we want. And then we're gonna pin those in place. And then we're gonna sew on those lines. Okay, sew on those lines. And when you cut those apart, you will end up with 4 flying geese. Okay, so if I took this and cut that apart, there's 1 goose. And if I'd gone this direction, I have the other goose. Okay, so you're gonna get 4 flying geese. Now we're gonna trim. When we trim, excuse me, the point of the goose is always gonna face you. And these lines, you got this diagonal line right here, we're gonna call our common diagonal. It's always gonna sit on the right-hand side of the unit. Let me see if I can turn this around so you can get a better angle of this. There we go. There we go. So this diagonal will always be on the right-hand side, and there will always be a diagonal on the left-hand side that's going to match. And the X goes right in the nose of your goose. So I'm trimming to 2.5 by 4.5. So I have quite a bit to trim right there, and that's what I want. That extra little bit of trimming room. I'm going to turn it around so I can trim it. Okay, get him right there. Whoop. And we're gonna cut up the side, across the top. And then we're gonna turn it around. And now we're gonna use the 2.5 by 4.5 inch square up lines, go on the outside edge. Your X is still right there on your point. This dash line is your 1/4 inch. So as long as this tip of this goose does not go above that line, you will never lose it, because that's your 1/4 inch right there. So that's kind of a good check as well. All right, and there is a good flying goose. And where did our other one go? Here he is. So there's a couple flying geese for you, okay? So that's the basics of the wing clipper. This you can do sizes from 1 by 1.5 to 5.5 by 10.5. So you can do a lot of different sizes with this, and that makes it very beneficial. All right, there are 2 technique sheets that we have to go with this. So over the next 2 weeks, we will show you those. I hope you enjoy this, and will join us next time. Have a good day.